Hey everybody, it is June 17th, 2021. If you're watching this, you made it. We made it. Past 2020. That's no small feat. But is Kody plain and simple after another long hiatus? Um, the basic overall theme and topic of this video is going to be relationships. Um, Not necessarily romantic, but just relationships as a whole, like friendship, family, and yeah, the intimate kind too. But that's probably going to wind up being its own video for several reasons. Um, for those of you where this might be your first time watching or whatever, my name is Kody. Um, I go by several different names, and I take it seriously, and friends and family take it seriously too. At first, it started out Kody Incredible. I'm also known as Kody Inc. or The Incredible One. On a video game, Grand Theft Auto, where you can customize license plates, I have plates that say Inc. INC1 because, there's only one Incredible Kody. You're not Incredible Kody. You might be Incredible You, but I'm the Codyest that you'll ever come across. And I'm me. You can't be me. You don't want to be me. And I don't want you to be me. I want to be me. Me! Notice I like saying me. We haven't even gotten to I yet, but me. Oh, yeah. Anyway, um, one of the things about relationships, before we're going to talk about anybody else, let's talk. I think I might do this in several parts to keep it short. But what we're going to do, we're going to start off talking about ourselves. Before you need to even look at a relationship or go into details with anybody else, be it friendship or more than friendship, you need to know who you are. It helps. And you would be surprised, or maybe not surprised, at how many people don't know themselves. When I was maybe a teenager, probably about 17, no, maybe earlier than that, probably about 14, because I wasn't driving yet. Um, I went to this seminar, and one of the questions that was asked, it was a relatively small group, but the question was asked, who are you? And for some reason, throughout all these decades, that question has stuck with me. Like, who am I? What am I here for? And I think that question has probably crossed most of our minds. Well, I'll tell you this. Sometimes it takes a minute to figure it out. And when I say a minute, really, I mean years. Some people are blessed, but there's an old phrase and saying that goes pressure bust pipes. Pressure will show your weak spots. That's true with yourself or even relationships with other people. When everything is sunshine, clear skies, and there's no conflict, yeah, you know, everything's good with yourself and with other people and etc. etc. Part of the reason that Kody Plain and Simple went on a hiatus is because Kody started to lose Kody. My original intent, as I've said before for these videos, was to, at first, the intention was to explain what life is like to other people, what life is like with a chronic disease. The highs, the lows, the reality of it all, things that people may not necessarily think about or consider. I'm like, hey, don't use that handicap spot. Um, think about if somebody has a van where the ramp drops down on the side, and especially at Walmart, they tell you don't park in the hash lines because somebody might need that ramp to drop down. people do it anyway. And that's other handicapped people. Um, you get folks that do stuff and they think it's, oh, well, it's just a second or it's just a minute. Or even with when I was able to walk, because I'll go ahead and tell you now, at the moment, let me say that again, at the moment, as in not permanent and will not always be the case. But for now, I can't walk. But when I was able to, people will look at you crazy because you park your car here, the entrance to wherever you're going is right up the step. Just get out the car, go right up the step. But the handicap ramp is about 10, 15 feet down the curbside. And it doesn't necessarily have handicap parking markings. People look at you crazy when you get out your car, walk down to the ramp, go up, and then come back. Oh, why didn't you just walk straight up the ramp? You don't know my life. So anyway, it was to go into conversations like that, but I think I'm gonna expand. As a matter of fact, I am gonna expand and broaden the topics because they're still related to that. Now, getting back to the whole knowing yourself thing and what happened with my two hiatuses, hiati. No, that's too close to hentai. Anyway, whatever. Basically, what had happened was, um, I went into a dark place and I knew the videos were going to get dark. And these videos were never meant to um, make you sympathetic. They were never meant to make you go, oh, poor Kody. I can't stand the whole poor Kody or poor this person thing. And I'm not saying that people don't deserve sympathy, empathy, or understanding, but I think that what most people want in a position like mine is understanding. There's a lot to be said for human contact, and I think all of us, got a good taste of that last year. Um, Necessary people who were workers that were necessary, who had to wind up leaving their children with relatives or friends because they had to go out and be in environments where they were constantly at risk of catching COVID and they didn't want to pass it on because it's asymptomatic. People keep forgetting that COVID is asymptomatic. You may have no symptoms and you may pass it on. But for whatever you may think about the vaccination, I can say this. The numbers are dropping. And as far as how the vaccination works, time will tell. But we're not here to talk about that, at least not this video. Anyway, getting back to the hiatus, I was starting to get depressed. So much to the point where I was like, I don't want to transmit depression. The energy that I give off, I didn't want it to be negative energy. And one thing I can tell you for certain, a lot of comedians, the comedy may start from a place of pain. Some of the greatest comedians have experienced pain and are usually very well educated either in life itself or in, world events, current events. You have to have something to joke about, and it could be something absolutely tragic, but they have a way of looking at it and putting a spin on it. Like, okay, everybody likes to use this phrase now when they start talking trash. Hey, yo, homie, pull up. Homie, pull up. And I mean, like, if I tell you, yeah, I'm finna roll up to the spot. I mean, I'm in a wheelchair. I really am about to roll up to the spot. I mean, first off, I'll never lose a fight. I can tell you that right now. Because, first off, In order to fight me, you will have to come down to the level of my wheelchair. And if you think that you want to be Billy Badass and stand up, I you have no idea how much the footrest of a wheelchair hurts until you've been hit by one in your shins. Facts, bro or sis. Facts. I have had people who were scared to push me in wheelchairs, and they didn't take into account the footrest and my feet, well, the chair's legs, have been hit into doors, hit into people's shins, hit into their Achilles tendons. So basically, what I'm telling you is, number one, if you want to fight me, I ain't scared. I'll fight you. After all the things I've been through and experienced, yeah, I'm not scared of pain. There's a lot of things I'm not scared or afraid of. And so the other thing is, I said I'll never lose a fight because, well, number one, um, what you doing trying to fight handicapped folk? What you doing? Um, but on the other hand, I ain't gonna lie, there's some that need to be tipped over out of their wheelchair, and I mean, since their legs already linguini, they might need to get stopped. Kody, how could you say such a thing? Every handicapped person is a nice person. There's some jerks out there. And I don't care whether you're standing or sitting. Man, I'm telling you, wheelchair fighting might become a thing. If we got boxing and we got UFC, try to tell you, wheelchair boxing. Next thing, dog. Next thing. It's gonna be kind of like Robo Wars or Robo Fights. Like, who can put the most tech toys in their power wheelchairs? And anyway, I can be giving y'all my ideas. It's trademarked. Y'all heard me say it first. Shoot, anybody do it? Give me my money. Cut the check. I got bills to pay. Anyway, but like I said, getting back to all of this stuff that I'm going off on a tangent about, that's me. That is my personality. I have my highs and I have my lows, and the hiatus was a very, very low point. Um, for some of you already know, and some of you don't know, I've wanted a family for years. I've wanted a family ever since I was a teenager, and I don't mean I wanted a family as a teenager. I meant ever since I was a teenager, I knew that eventually I would want a family, and it did, and it didn't work that way. Along the way, I have met some remarkable women, and I've had a chance to at least be in the lives of children. And I always make this joke like I don't like kids, but the truth is, I love kids. I love them. I love them. I love them as long as they have a lick of sense. If they don't have a lick of sense, and if they have all these behavior issues and problems, and I'm not talking about autism, I'm talking about you just don't know how to discipline your kid. I'm not looking at them funny. I'm gonna look at you with a side eye. Yep, I said it. I'm looking at you with a side eye. If your kid does not listen to you, and okay, true story, feel how you want to feel about it. Years ago, I was with one of my friends. Her name is Brandy, and there was this place. Oh gosh, I think it used to be like a Papa Dough or Baby Dough up in that area, but they also had like an amusement center up there at the time too. So while we're in line, and at this time again, I could stand, so it was in the earlier stages of Pompe disease, and I could walk, but I walked with a cane. So the gentleman standing in front of us had a kid, and he probably was like maybe 7, 8 years old. Now, please understand, I get that a child would be excited, you know, about to go into a place or whatever. And I'm gonna be real, I don't always expect kids, most of the time, I don't expect kids to be still. But the thing is this, be aware of your children, okay? If you happen to notice that there's a gentleman standing behind you with the cane, chances are he's got it for a reason, not necessarily just a fashion statement. Although I do make my canes look good. I mean, let's just keep it real. I make it look good. But so kid is jumping around, and as he's jumping, he keeps stepping and jumping on my feet. To give you an idea of what life was like before social distancing, I was not right on this guy's bumper. But the kid kept jumping around so much, Dad didn't say a word. He wasn't like, Billy, calm down, or okay, Billy, relax a little bit. We about to be in. No, none of that. Dad was completely oblivious. And this kid kept jumping, and I stepped back. It's almost like he was trying it on purpose, because it got to a point with Brandy as my witness. Um, Kid just kept jumping on my feet. Okay. I have a very interesting way of dealing with most of my problems in life. So, again, feel how you want to feel about it. I took a step to the side this time. I was supporting my weight on the cane, but instead of stepping back, I stepped to the side, which kind of made a triangle between the ground, the cane, and me. And if you understand this, basically what it means is it looks like I stuck my cane out further away from my body. So when Billy got to jumping around and he came back from my foot, he caught that cane and then he caught the ground. I am pretty sure there's a lot of people right now who are like, Kody, you're terrible. Kody, you're horrible. And feel how you feel about it. I ain't here to please you. But I tell you one thing, my feet stopped hurting. Billy calmed down. He was okay. And yeah, we went on to have a great time that day. And I'm pretty sure Billy did too. He's young, resilient, wasn't nothing wrong with him. So, I mean, Billy calmed down. And a good time was had by all. So, anyway, that all of that is part of my personality. Like I said, I know who I am. Now, if you want to start getting into why am I here, that takes some soul searching. That also can take pressure. Before I got a clear understanding of why I'm here and what it is I'm supposed to do, I've said before that even though I embrace differences, I am a Christian. And some people will gasp me like, oh my goodness. So if Kody Plain and Simple is supposed to be blunt and honest on the level of like red table talk, like I'm putting it all out there and you deal with it or not. Um, some people would be surprised because they think Christians are supposed to act like they're perfect, or someone else's perception of a Christian is, oh, they're a Christian. They think they have all the answers. They think they're perfect. Oh, by no means. Um, as a heterosexual male who is not blind, if you know me, you know I love some boobies. But I also love the Lord. I can love both. And if you want to think that there's something odd, weird, or funny about that, how do you think we get little Christians? Think about it. Think about it now. One Christian finds another Christian attractive, and it keeps going, and they keep talking. And then, those two Christians might find each other sexy, and then you wind up with little Christians. So, yeah. Anyway, again, that's a whole different video. But see, I understand myself, and after the events that took place in 2012, my life can be marked at the year of 2012 because that was the year that I went into the hospital for about 3 months, and life took a drastic turn since then. but it was not all bad. I came out the hospital November of 2012, the day before Thanksgiving, and I probably was the strongest that I've been since I was originally diagnosed. I had a gym to work out in. I had a regimen daily. I had therapists, and even though atrophy had set in at the time, it was painful still to stand for long periods. And for me, I mean like minutes or seconds in some cases. And but I was able to do it. When I was in the hospital, I knew that I was gonna walk out on my own feet. Oh well, hospital policy is that we put you out in a wheelchair. Okay, I let them push me to the door, but as soon as we got across that threshold, and my sister had pulled the car up around to the valet, I was like, I got it from here. I stood up out of that chair, grabbed my cane, and they're like, "Oh well, you're gonna need a 4-prong cane." Nope, I'm walking out with the cane I came in with. Well, you're gonna need oxygen even under exertion. No, I'm not, and I didn't. And I'll tell you this: a lot of people noticed that trach mark, and even I didn't understand the significance until I was told. Most people who are diagnosed with Pompe have respiratory issues, hence the beautiful nose gear I'm sporting right here. And when I was in the hospital, yeah, they put a trach in. And there were a lot of benefits. There was also a lot of drawbacks. Um, but most people that go on ventilators or trachs, they don't come off until you die. Death. I'm gonna do a whole video about that. Please believe. But from those events, and then the events that caused me to stop making the videos, it'll knock a pause into you and make you start soul searching. Some of the videos, I don't even know if I got them. I've posted pictures of them on Facebook, but that whole thing going back to wanting a family, I had a friend, a longtime friend, who had two daughters. And if you've ever been on my page in the past 2 years, I had posted pictures of them and I called them my babies. I mean, like I said, I've been involved with a lot of women who were friends or maybe more than friends who had kids. I built a relationship with said kids, and I'm talking somewhere into the tune of well over, jeez, probably somewhere to the tune of about somewhere between 16 and 23, somewhere in that number, as far as how many kids I've had a hand in helping. Okay, had to pause there. Got a case of the runny nose. I mean, yeah, we supposed to be real around here, but I don't think anybody wants to see me clean my nose. And if you do, and that's your kink, I don't kink shame. Anyway, but yeah, so I have had a hand or some sort of assist in raising and dealing with so many children that their ages currently range between 25 all the way down to like 2 currently. And these two were special to me because their mother was special to me. It became apparent that me and their mother was not going to be in a relationship. And I made my peace with that. I mean, to me, that almost would have been perfect, but apparently God knew a whole lot of stuff that I didn't know. It was like, nope. And if I'm honest with myself, I knew that wasn't going to work too. So again, I made my peace with it, and I just love spending time with my babies. And they loved me too. Um, it's weird to talk about children, and some people are like, well, you don't have any biological kids, da 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 da. But the love was still real. There was nothing like having two little tiny humans, every time they see you, they shout your name and run to you and give you the biggest hugs. And those were some of the most joyful moments of my life. And then when the pandemic started and we were on lockdown, so many people felt what I was feeling, not being able to see certain loved ones. And it was hard to deal with. I'm going to tell you like this. Again, you believe in whatever you want, but I know that God was the only reason that I got through certain things. And I think I even said in a previous video, people might think, well, oh, because of the pandemic, we're on the same place or we're on the same level or you can't say this or that and the other. No, we are not the same. No, it's not the same thing. Because when everybody else was able to move about freely, be mobile, and still interact with people, there's a lot of us in my position who were not able to do that. And for the ones who could, it was extremely difficult unless you had the right tools. All of us don't have the insurance to get ramps, lifts, elevators for our wheelchairs. Um, some people are in earlier stages where they can still walk, and that's cool. You get some people where they're able to use a manual wheelchair because they're somewhere half in between early stages, later stages, and somewhere in the middle. And then you get people like me who have more advanced stages where walking is either a hazard because you could always fall at any given moment, or your legs just don't have the strength for it anymore. Um, but again, going through stuff like that, it messes with you mentally because ever since my health took a decline and I couldn't take my babies to school in the morning anymore, that's when I started noticing the decline of my health. And while I was with another friend, she I had to go to the hospital because I wound up getting so fatigued. The doctor's appointment was next to the hospital, or close enough, thankfully, to where I could get there. And this was last year. This was about March of last year. Um, we struggled. And when I got into the hospital, and eventually when I was released, they kept me for longer than I would like. It was my second time in ICU, but this time I was conscious. I was lucid. I was able to speak. As to where the first time I was in ICU, I wasn't able to. So they came to the conclusion, after looking at my records, the medical uh, statistics, and with my record and frequency of my ER visits, they had come to the conclusion that as of March last year, at that point, I only had days to live, about 2 weeks at the most. That's what they said back then. They said that over a year ago. It was a year in March. It's not the first time doctors have written me off. I was told that I was going to permanently be in a wheelchair by the time that I was about somewhere between 19 and 21. That didn't happen. I was told that I would be dead by 40 when I was originally diagnosed. Currently, bless the Lord, I'm 42. Um, and those are the positives that I like to look at, that I have to remind myself of. And but before I could do that, there's that in between part where I wasn't positive. I was in agony. I stopped filming Kody Plain and Simple because it got to the point where every day that I woke up, I was disappointed that I woke up. Things got so bad that when I would wake up, I almost wanted to cry every time I did because I was so disappointed that I didn't die in my sleep. So much stuff has happened to me, and I know I'm not the only one, but for me, so much stuff has happened. There's no way that I cannot believe in God. If you believe in science, that's fine. If you want to call it the universe, that's fine. Me personally, I have a full on relationship with number one, my Lord and Savior Jesus, and number two, creator of all things, my Father in heaven. That's how I roll. That's how I get down. Will you still hear me curse occasionally? If you catch me playing a video game, you most definitely will. I try to curtail that. And the fastest way for me to stop cussing is to have a kid around. Just, it automatically just stops. Just something in my head clicks. But all of this stuff that I've been expressing for the past 30 minutes, I found out all of this stuff about myself over time. So it wasn't months, it wasn't days, it was years, and it was circumstances that forced things up. And in my specific situation, again, with my relationship with God, it's almost like, well, it's not almost, it was. When people say, oh, God did this and it was bad, and if there's a God, why did he leave it like that? First off, God did not do this to me. If you can sit up here and believe or talk about a God, then you have to know that there's also a devil. You have to know that there is a ringleader of evil, okay? So, if one force is trying to kill me, which is the devil, guess who's been keeping me alive? Can I do the things that I used to love to do? You would never know that I used to go hiking. Around Lake Lanier of all places. Whew, talk about survival. But I used to go hiking. I used to race cars, legally or otherwise. But I you're talking about the guy that jumped out of planes. You're talking about a guy that had this whole list of things, and it wasn't a bucket list. It wasn't, oh, I got to get this done before I die. No, that wasn't my thought process at the time. As a matter of fact, when I started my list, that movie hadn't even come out yet. So I just had a list of stuff Kody wanted to do. I wanted to swim with dolphins. And then I got older and I learned about dolphins. And, well, let's just say I would feel a lot more comfortable swimming with a whale shark. Which, that's another thing. I plan on swimming with sharks. And before you say I'm crazy, there are different types. There are ones that actually like humans. So there's that. There are other sharks besides great whites. I'm crazy all day, but I ain't been that stupid not a day in my life. I am not swimming with great whites, even if it is inside of a cage. Anyway, but let's just say I have a serious streak for adventure. Had things gone the way that I would like for them to have to gone, if things had gone the way that I would like for them to have gone, yeah, there we go. Proper English. Anyway, but I would have been traveling. And I envy certain people that get to do that, like Chris Fear. That dude is living the life that is similar to what I wanted. Like, before I sat down and established my family or my own kids, it would have been nice, if as a single person, I could go out and just travel and explore. And with the type of work that I did, for those that don't know, I established a digital media company. Um, I had one employee and several contractors I worked with, and I loved what I did. You talk about, when I used to have my own place, I had a dry erase board with the status of all of my clients and what I had to do that day. I wake up, I pray, I spend some time with God, because relationships have to be fostered. And for those who do believe in God and Jesus, I'm going to tell you like this. The same way you interact with your human friends is the same way that you should interact with God and Jesus. The only difference is Yeah, one of them is standing right in front of you where you can see, and the other one's invisible. But still, it's a relationship. Again, that's another video for another time. But I used to love my work. I loved what I did. I loved problem solving. Um, and I really, really loved my life. 2010, 2011, those were some pretty good years. Um, had a paid off car. That was for the most part functional. Um, it was good. Then all of a sudden you wind up in the hospital for 3 months, come out, and don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to have my mom, and she was in a position where she could take care of me. From then until now, my mother is my primary caregiver, and God bless her for the stress that she goes through, or has been through, and all the things that she does just out of love. So that's definitely a shout out to all the caregivers out there, because a lot of people who have never been in this situation as a caregiver or the recipient of the care, they don't understand what goes behind those words, caregiver. It is so much to it, especially when it's a family member and then emotions get involved. And it's a lot. And that was part of my hiatus too. Because even though I didn't do anything to bring this condition on myself, I didn't like having to ask my mom for so much. And it wasn't pride. It definitely wasn't that. It was the fact that in my head, I felt like I should be doing for her. She spent her whole life raising me and my sister. And we were at a stage in life where it was like I wanted to be positioned where, oh, you need this? Got it. Oh, I heard you mention that you need such and such. She ain't asked for it. I just saw a need, or I heard her talking to someone else, or I just paid attention and I got stuff for her. Once upon a time, I had it like that. Um, my name, Kody, originally spelled Cody, which it is not, it's Kody. But original Cody is Old English, and it means the helper, and it means the comforter. It is so important what you name your children, and people will make up names or combine names and they don't have a meaning behind them. And let's just say, I think there's something that Carrie Hilson said in a tweet that I totally agree with. Every word that you speak is a prayer. If your child's name doesn't have a meaning, it doesn't automatically mean that they're gonna be a problem child or there's gonna be issues. But think about it. If a name has a meaning and you keep saying that person's name over and over and over again, the traits of whatever the origins of that name will come out. Now that ain't got nothing to do with what month you were born. Anybody who knows me knows I hate astronomy. No, wait, no, astrology. Love astronomy. Can't stand astrology. I do not believe that your personality traits are dictated by the month you were born. If anything, they're more so dictated by name. That's the reason why the Bible says, in order to name a boy, you have 8 days to consider and think about it. And um, girls, I think it's something like 4 or 5 days. But regardless, that's what my name means. All my life, I've never felt like I had to be or even wanted to be up front or in the spotlight. I was fine being help to somebody else. I was fine being support to somebody else. And one of my biggest flaws was I didn't know how to take help. Didn't know how to ask for it. Didn't know how to receive it. Because I was so used to giving it. I have done things for people I will never speak about or go into details about because I never did it for clout. I never recorded anything to post later. And I've even had some people say, oh, well, you should do it because it'll influence others. And no. Here's how this works. When I want to influence somebody else to do something good, I think when I was turning 37 or 38, I asked on Facebook that people not do something for me. I asked them, would you please go out and do something for somebody else? Whether it's to give a complete stranger 5, 10, 15, $20, whatever you can afford. I asked them to, if you're, because I've done this before, this is how I affect other people without having to post it on social media. There's been times I've gone to Starbucks or I've been to Checkers or wherever I was going to eat, and I say, hey, how much is the person behind me? How much does theirs come to? And they'll tell me, and I'll pay for theirs too. Just boom, done. So hopefully the thought process is pay it forward. That's why I don't talk about it on social media, because I'm not downing anybody else for what they do. That's not my style. A point in my life came where I needed help more than once. And I mean a lot of help. And I mean financially. And some of it wasn't even financial, it was stuff, it was things I needed. And after I made a Facebook post that was so uncharacteristic of me, again, this happened last year. Storm knocked the power out. Battery died on my breathing machine. I wasn't even in my right mind because of issues with oxygen, carbon dioxide buildup. I can't sleep because if I tried to sleep, I would suffocate. I was not in a good place. And after having made this uncharacteristic post, it all got started at 4:30 in the morning when a friend of mine named Tony saw it. Somebody I met through one of my old jobs. And she was the first person to respond. And when I say respond, I'll tell that story some other time. But all of this stuff put me under pressure, and I got to see who I am, what my responses to things were. It allowed me to make course corrections, personality changes, and it's nothing for me to where I would go and brag about it to other people. If I was having a one-on-one conversation with somebody and I was trying to help them through something, to let them know that I can relate, let them know that I've been through XYZ before, and I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I am going to share what helped me make it through something. So if you can glean anything from that, then, God bless it. I hope it helps. And it's not a one-time thing. If I form a bond with somebody, help does not always come in the form of a dollar sign or a check. And I want to make that perfectly clear for two reasons. One, if I ask for help, it ain't necessarily got to be money. I might need you to pick something up for me, or I might need help putting together a new piece of furniture. Thanks, Casey. But the whole thing is, it's not always about money. And then realistically, sometimes it is. But a lot of times it's about having a shoulder to lean on and being the shoulder to lean on. I talk a lot, and I'm aware of this. But what a lot of people don't know, and would never guess from my Facebook post, even though this video is looking down the barrel of about an hour, because if you're still with me, you've been watching this for about 44 minutes. This is the longest video I've ever made. But there's a lot to be said, because of the huge pause between videos. Um, I'm gonna conclude and just say this. I found out who I was. I understand who I am and what I am. Even to the point of me originally calling myself Kody Incredible actually got started because I was making fun of John Legend before I understood certain things. Again, we'll put that in another video. But as time goes on, most people, when they try to give themselves a name, it doesn't work. And I gave myself the name of Incredible, and because it started out as a joke with me and my friend Erica. And then after that, my friend Tiana. And then after that, Lydia. And it caught on. Just like you saw in the birthday card envelope I posted. Mr. Incredible, Kody Incredible, Dr. Incredible. Yes, that is what I respond to now. And if you do read the Bible, you'll notice that God or Jesus changed people's names sometimes because he knew that whatever you call that person's name, the meaning behind it you're repeating over and over again. I didn't even understand that principle when I started calling myself Kody Incredible as a joke. And then the second step of the joke was I was like, you know what? It takes at least 8 years to call yourself a doctor. And I'm like, I'm a student of life. I think it's time for an upgrade. And I started referring to myself as Dr. Incredible. I mean, heck, one of the superheroes from The Watchmen is Dr. Manhattan. And then in Marvel, there's Dr. Doom. I thought it was pretty cool. And then there's Dr. Dre. So I felt I was in good company. Yeah, yeah. And even with the Dr. Doom being a villain thing, I'm going to tell you this. You can be the nicest, kindest, sweetest person in the world. But in somebody's story, you gon' be the villain. But me, I don't care. That's another thing. You face death enough times, and you start realizing what is and isn't important in life. I do not deliberately seek out to hurt people's feelings. I do not deliberately set out to insult people. Kinda. Well, I look at it like this. When I make jokes, I am an equal opportunity hater. Meaning, basically, anybody can get it when I'm telling jokes. Um, if I start getting into my comedic spill, you can be black, white, Puerto Rican, Cuban, gay, Asian. You can be black, white, Puerto Rican, Cuban, Asian, gay, straight, trans. I don't care. And basically, when I say that I'm an equal opportunity hater, even the statement within itself is a joke. I do my best to love everybody. I may not love what you do, but I try to love the person. And seeing as how it's like, no, is it still Pride Month? Yeah, still Pride Month. Look, as a Christian and this whole Pride Month thing, I'm going to tell you this. Out of all the commandments that God gave, out of everything that he said, whether it referred to sexual acts, homosexuality, whatever, he said, of all the commandments, of all the laws, of all the rules, there's one that ties everything together. Love one another. That's where I'm at with it. Now, granted, you're probably not going to see me at a rally or parade or anything, but it doesn't mean I've got friends that are gay. I love them, male and female. I love them because when I look at them, I'm not like, oh, that's gay such and such. That's my friend. Plain and simple. That's my friend. What you do behind closed doors is what you do. That's not for me to talk about, speak on, or judge. That's not my place. Just, I try my best to love people where they are. Simple as that. It really is just that simple. Um, And again, to tie all this up in a neat bow, jeez, I feel like a preacher who keeps saying they're done but keeps going. Anyway, now we're hitting on 49 minutes. Yep, just hit 50. Anyway, if you've stuck this out, or if you've watched it in parts, I want to say thank you and appreciate it. Since it is going to be on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, share, yada yada yada, blah blah. You know the spill. Everybody on YouTube says it, but you know what? If you feel like subscribing, because there are going to be more videos, I am grateful and I appreciate each and every one of you. Whether this reaches 10 people or 10,000, I'm still grateful for each and every person who cares enough to take the time to even listen to any of this. Thank you. Until next time.